For me today is an exciting day. This is exciting because Jesus' birth was very important. Now, we understand Christmas. Christmas is a great day. But this is the best day of the year. When you think about it, Christmas is wonderful. We enjoy the gift giving, the presents, and everything else. But this is proof for Jesus to say who he was and what he was going to do. All right. But what I'm about to tell you is the greatest story ever told. For those who don't know, Luke followed Paul and met up with him in Philippi. Luke was a physician. He was a man learned, a Greek man, by background a Greek, but a very learned man, a very educated man. A man that could give descriptive writings about the truth. I find Luke's writing probably one of the best in the New Testament. Basically because he describes it so eloquently when he talks about Jesus coming back. When I read this, I want you to think about something. I want you to think about what was Paul thinking? What was he going through when he told the story to Luke? And for Luke to portray that story in truth and understanding in the way he did in Luke chapter 24. Now understand that Jesus had already been put in the tomb. John had taken him down, John of Arimathea had taken him down and put him in the tomb, had wrapped him in linen cloth, put him in the tomb. But prior to that, Jesus had told his apostles, I will rise. In 3 days I will rise. Yes. For us, that's unfathomable. We can't think. If someone was to tell me right now, I'm leaving and man in 3 days, I'm going to rise again. I'm going to rise. I'll be back. We can't fathom that. We can't think in our minds how that could take place. So put yourself in the place of those 12, those apostles, the Peter, the Johns, all the Marks, the Matthew. Put yourself in their place. The Simon, the doubters, the Thomases. Think of all the things they had to think about when Jesus told them he would rise again. Started. But on the first day of the week, at early dawn, the women went to the tomb. Yeah. What did it mean? What did it mean? The women went to the tomb taking the spices that they had made previously. Amen. And they found the stone rolled back from the tomb. And when they went inside, they did not find the body of the Lord Jesus. And while they were perplexed and wondering what to do about this, behold, 2 men in dazzling raiment suddenly stood beside them. And as the women were frightened and were bowing their faces to the ground, the men said to them, why do you look for the living? Those amongst those who are dead. He is not here, but has risen. Remember how he told you he was still in Galilee, when he was still in Galilee? That the Son of Man must be given over to the hands of sinful men, whose way or nature is to act in opposition to God, and be crucified, and on the third day rise from death. And they remembered his words. They remembered his words. And having returned from the tomb, they reported all these things taken together to the 11 apostles. and to all the rest. Now it was Mary Magdalene and Joanna and Mary, mother of James, and the other women with them who reported these things to the apostles. But these reports seemed to the men to be an idle tale, madness, vain things, nonsense. And they did not believe the women. But Peter got up and he ran to the tomb. And stooping down and looking in, he saw the linen cloths alone by themselves, and he went away wondering about and marveling at what had happened. Now Peter, we know Peter's story. We know how Peter rolled out. We know how he rolled. He's the guy that asked Jesus, let me come to you, Father. Let me come to you, Jesus. On that wall. Let me come out there. He walking. Let me come out there. And he stepped out the boat. And he started walking. Then after a couple minutes, Peter looked around and the water was there. And he's like, how am I doing this? In and of myself, I can't be doing this. But he still got out the boat. Yeah. So we know Peter. And behold, that very day, two of the disciples were going to a village called Emmaus. Now, this is on the road to Emmaus, which is about 7 miles from Jerusalem. And they were talking to each other about these things that had occurred. And while they were conversing together, Jesus himself, they even rose, and he's back. Jesus himself caught up with them and was already accompanying them. So he's walking beside them. But their eyes were held, so they did not recognize him. Now, do you know what they mean when they say their eyes were held? They were caught up in something else. They were so busy in conversation. I know that we all do this. We can be talking to someone else and be so caught up in conversation, someone else can pass you by and say hi and you never see them. You can be so wrapped up in conversation and talking to your BFF or talking to something else going on, or talking about some new clothes that came out, or shoes, or hair that you got done, or you bought. It could be any of those things. And someone can say something to you you don't even know they said it. These guys were caught up. These two guys were so busy talking about what was transpiring that they didn't even notice he was walking beside. And it says their eyes were held, so they did not recognize him. And he said to them, what is this discussion that you are exchanging, going back and forth between yourselves as you walk along? And they still looked. Still looking down and downcast and sad. They were talking about what had transpired with Jesus' death. Then one of them, named Cleophas, answered him, do you alone dwell as a stranger in Jerusalem and not know the things that have occurred there in these days? And he said, what kind of things? So Jesus spoke to them a little bit. What kind of things are you talking about? And they said to him about Jesus of Nazareth, who was a prophet, mighty in work and word before God and all the people. And how our chief priests and rulers gave him up and sentenced him to death and crucified him. But we were hoping, this is good, but we were hoping that it was he who would redeem and set Israel free. Yes, and besides all this, it is how the third day since these things have occurred. Think about this minute now. It was the third day since these things had occurred. And moreover, some women of our company astounded us and drove us out of our senses. They were at the tomb early this morning, but they did not find the body. And they returned saying that they had even seen a vision of angels who said he was alive. So some of those who were with us went to the tomb, and they found it just as the women had said. But him they did not see. And Jesus said to them, "O foolish ones, sluggish in mind, dull perception." Keep breaking it down for me. Slow of heart to believe. Adhere to and trust and rely on everything that the prophets have spoken. But this wasn't just Jesus walking with the 12 apostles telling him he's going to rise again. This was already prophetically said. It was already going to happen. This was something that was to come. Was it not necessary and essential and fitting that the Christ, the Messiah, should suffer all these things before entering into his glory, his majesty, and his splendor? Then beginning with Moses and throughout all the prophets, he went on explaining and interpreting to them in all the scriptures the things concerning and referring to himself. So he probably gave these two people, these two men, a complete story of what was to come. A complete story of what was transpiring right there. Then they drew near the village to which they were going, and he acted as if he would go further. But they urged and insisted, saying to him, "Remain with us, for it is toward the evening. The day is now far spent." So he went in to stay with them. And it occurred that as he reclined at the table with them, he took a loaf of bread and praised God and gave thanks and asked a blessing and then broke it and was giving it to them. When their eyes were instantly opened and they clearly recognized him, guess what? He was gone. 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 Because of all that time, they walked with him. He didn't know. But he told them. Gave him a complete story as he walked with him. What it transpired. But they didn't know. And then he vanished. Departed invisibly. Then they said to one another, "Were not our hearts greatly moved and burning within us while he was talking with us on the road? And as he opened and explained to us the sense of the scriptures?" And rising up that very hour, they went back to Jerusalem, where they had found the 11 apostles gathered there together, who were with them, who said, "The Lord really has risen and has appeared to Simon Peter." Then they themselves related in full what had happened on the road and how he was known and recognized by them in the breaking of bread. Now we look at this in a type and shadow, because basically, if you recall, when they were all in the upper room and they were breaking the bread, and Jesus told them, "This is my body. This is my blood. Do this in remembrance." Everything he told them, they got a remembrance at that time that they were breaking the bread. Then they thought, it just came, "Oh, wait a minute. This happened before. Jesus did this." There you go. So he left that with them. Think about that a while. Now while they were talking about this, Jesus himself took his stand among them and said to them, "Peace, freedom from all distress that are experienced as a result of sin be to you." But they were so startled and terrified that they thought they saw a spirit. And he said to them, "Why are you disturbed and troubled? And why do you have doubts, such doubts and questionings that arise in your hearts? See my hands, see my feet, that it is I myself. Feel and handle me. See, for a spirit does not have flesh and bones, as you see that I have." And when he had said this, he showed them his hands and his feet. And while since they still could not, listen to this. This is almost unbelievable. It says, and while since they still could not believe it for sheer joy and marvel, he said to them, have you anything here to eat? Jesus came back and sat down and ate with them. Come on now. If you're one of those 11, can you picture that? Can you even think on that level that someone would come back on the third day and sit down and eat with you? Then he's showing his hands, showing his feet, letting you know where he was at. Letting you know what happened to him. Letting you know that at one point you couldn't even recognize him. And he's come back in raiment and glory. Come on. Come on. I couldn't even think. I couldn't fathom that someone would come back, love me so much, come back and sit and eat with me and tell me, show me, after you've taken all that sin, you saw the video, taking condemnation, my sin. You have to make it personal. Yeah. You have to make it personal. Because he did it for me. So when you say that, you say he did it for me. That's right. Then he's sitting beside him and eating, enjoying a meal with you. How's the spirit going to sit there and enjoy a meal with you? How you going to eat a little bread? Drink a little vino. Come on. And it occurred to them while he was blessing them, he parted. Make sure I'm in the right place. No, I have to move it up. Then they gave him a piece of broiled fish. Oh, he ate some fish too. Sorry about that. And he took it and ate it before them. Then he said to them, this is what I told you while I was still with you. Everything which is written concerning me in the law of Moses and the prophets and the Psalms must be fulfilled. Yeah. Then he thoroughly opened up their minds to understand the scriptures. And he said to them, thus it is written that Christ the Messiah should suffer and on the third day rise from among the dead. And that repentance with a view to and as the condition of forgiveness of sins should be preached in his name to all nations, beginning from Jerusalem. And you are witnesses of these things. And behold, I will send forth upon you what my Father has promised. But remain in the city, he told them, of Jerusalem, until you are clothed with with power from on high. Now we all know what that power is. Then he conducted them out as far as Bethany, and lifting up his hands, he invoked a blessing on them. And it occurred that while he was blessing them, he parted from them and was taken up into heaven. And they, worshiping him, back to Jerusalem with great joy. And they continually in the temple, celebrating and praising and blessing and extolling God. Now Luke, once again, he wrote this, and he had to write the truth. Paul gave an depiction of Jesus' death, burial, and resurrection. But Luke had to write it. He had to give a story to us to read so we could understand it, so we can actually try to understand what it would be like for our Jesus to be beaten, to be stripped of flesh, to be pierced, to go through everything he went through. Every one of us. We understand the idea of the cross, but we have to also understand The resurrection. The resurrection gives us the opportunity. It gives us more than the opportunity. It gives us the right of liberty, the right of real freedom, the right to say that when this is all said and done, guess what? We have a promise. We have a promise that at this juncture, at that juncture, it's finished, but it's just begun. If you recall, last time I said, or I ministered on, I live, I die, I live again. Here it is. This is it. This is just a chapter to add on to this chapter. Because we've been through the death part. He's been through the death part. Now we live again. We live anew. This is undoubtedly the best day. Best day of our life. The best day of the year.